Welcome back to the channel, y'all. So, woo, we about to dive into some aliens. I am excited. Listen, we're going to get right to it. Y'all got to hear this. With that being said, we're smoking all my dragons. Divine righteous, almighty greats, overachieving, never slacking, or should I say, was flying to all my UFOs.
Researchers are now suggesting aliens could actually be living among us disguised as humans. Not kidding. Montana Technical University professor Dr. Michael P. Masters was part of that study, and he joins us right now. Michael, good morning to you.
Morning. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to have you. Professor, wasn't that the ending of, I think it was Men in Black, the movie, where at the end they had the screen full of people who were, or rather aliens, living amongst us?
It's been a while since I've seen that one, but it's certainly a possibility. The subject does make its way into a lot of pop culture, so it's certainly possible.
So, Doctor, I mean, what is the chances of this? I mean, it seems like every year we have some type of story that it could be true.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is we're very cautious and conservative in writing this paper, and mostly what we're trying to do here is look at the oddities and the weirdness of the UFO phenomenon, which we can acknowledge is real. And as much as this might be difficult to swallow for some of my academic colleagues and for a large percentage of the population, it's important to start moving the conversation past are UFOs real and past the cockpit videos and the testimonies in front of Congress and the whistleblowers and a Schumer amendment and so many things that indicate that this should be taken seriously. And
So, there you go. Once he said the conversation should go from do aliens exist to what are they, that's that he's telling the truth right there. The thing is, they know they got to spoon feed the masses because they're afraid of that mass paranoia, and people just freaking out. I remember when I took an Uber about 3-4 years ago, the guy who was driving, he said that his dad back in the 80s worked for IBM, was a top engineer actually. And his dad told him when the Terminator came out, son, I need you to understand, this is a documentary. This isn't just a movie. And he also said that his dad would tell people there's going to be a time where everyone's going to be able to do a small device in your hand, going to be able to talk to anyone around the world face to face. And he said people thought his dad was crazy. Here we are, with cell phones, and we're able to do all type of stuff. FaceTime, that's old now, right? People can go live and talk and have anybody from anywhere around the world come into their life. So he he knew what he was talking about way back then in the 80s and early 90s, 70s even. So that go to show you right there. I mean, just imagine just imagine the information that the government has, but they know they have to put it in like movies and TV shows because once again that they don't want people to just freak out. They don't want that worldwide freak out. But yeah, we're moving on in the world, and this is why there's such a shift happening now. There's so much at play that we cannot see. People are so used to being told life's a certain way, being told, things are what doesn't exist and what does exist, being told, just go to school and graduate and get married and get a job and just, work till you die and be a good person, and that's what life's about. Yeah, so anything outside of what people are indoctrinated in, whether, whatever religion that may be, whatever teachings that may be, they tend to look at it as taboo. And anything that they see that may seem like sci-fi or, a fairy tale, they're like, oh, that can't exist. It just can't. Well, a bird that's born in a cage is going to think that flying is strange, right? If you're always told something and you believe that, then, yeah, you're going to hold on to that. But in a world that we're shifting in, where so much is being revealed and getting ready to be revealed, there's not going to be any more room or space for that type of thinking as the world shifts. I even have a theory that, before I even get to that, actually, when you look at people walking around day to day, he said there's people with, special abilities. There's people, X-Men are among us, that may come from certain bloodlines, and we may not realize who they are, and they may be different. They may not be able to understand things the same way other people do, and they may get called weird or creepy, but the whole time they just come from maybe a special bloodline and they're living in a world that's not conducive for their growth, or they're living in an environment that's not conducive for their growth, right? So it seems they may come off weird to others. So to my theory, I personally, I feel like even when you look at the racial caste system during Jim Crow and, I personally feel like that they was trying to they was trying to track something with that whole one drop rule. Because when you even look at the Dogon, who way before the Western world even had the advanced technology to be able to look at Sirius B with the physical eye, the Dogon tribe in West Africa already talked about, the Sirius B and the Domos and, the 60-year cycles when this would happen and that. And to this day, if you research it yourself, American scientists, and they're still mind blown at how the Dogon knew that. And the Dogon said it's because their ancestors from Sirius B came down a long time ago and gave them this knowledge. So, you have so much, the indigenous tribes that we're indoctrinated to think we're uncivilized. They tend to have the advanced stuff, but we're trained to think that they're uncivilized. We're trained to think because we may have a degree or because we PhD or this or that we're just so advanced because we think just human intellect makes us so advanced. And honestly, that's what keeps humanity at a standstill. And this is why the shift is happening right now, where so much is just crumbling down, honestly, because it's time, and we're going to see a lot of things in the future that is going to surprise a lot of people. Mark my words, if you see this video, within the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see a lot of things. There's certain time periods on the planet where things are meant to happen, where things come to an end and things have a beginning, where things are allowed and things aren't allowed. And right now we're in a time where something just ended, a cycle just ended. A cycle, and that cycle had to do a lot with keeping people indoctrinated and keeping and people in certain bloodlines. Even when you look at Henrietta Lacks, who just one day went for some blood work and they found out she had like these type of cells, this type of DNA that they use to heal people with cancer and all type of stuff, and she didn't even know about it, right? So you have these certain bloodlines, you have all this information that was held from people. When you look at slave days, people weren't even allowed to read. I mean, it was a certain cycle, it was a certain age, it was a certain period in time where that was allowed, and that's now over. And we're moving towards something else in the world. So, be ready. With that being said, much love, and it is a beautiful time to be here on planet Earth. Much love.